Leadership made easy. That has been my preoccupation for the past couple of episodes now on Leaders Arise. My goal is to ensure that this thing called leadership is expressed in a way that even a dummy can grasp it. And that was where I began teaching you from the last episode how to lead easily. This is Leaders Arise, and my name is Demola Awoyele. Thank you for being a part of today's broadcast. Last episode, I did told you that to lead with ease is to discover, develop, and deploy your area of grace. Leadership becomes easy when you are leading from your area of grace or strength. You can't be like every other person. In fact, a wise man once said that when you are trying to be like another person, the best you can be is number 2. Everybody is original in their own unique calling and grace. And that was the first point I gave you at the last episode. That leadership becomes easy, number 1, when we lead from our area of grace or strength. The second point I'll be dwelling on today on this Leadership Made Easy series is that leadership becomes easy when you find a problem and solve it. This is a very important point. Leaders are problem solvers. Leaders really are not opportunists. They are problem solvers. You know who they call opportunists? Those who stumble over opportunities or always looking for something to take advantage of. Sometimes that would happen to you in your leadership journey. A gap will show up that you are going to fill up. An opportunity will show up that you are going to quickly maximize. But majorly, leaders are not waiting for opportunities to happen. They simply go around looking for problems to solve. The good news is that since problems abound everywhere, especially in Africa, and of course all over the world, it is a cry for leaders to arise. That is why I strongly believe that a country like ours, where I'm broadcasting from Nigeria, that is plagued with myriads of problems. Some nations of Africa too, and some nations of the other continent are plagued with serious problems. Our leadership will help you to see the opportunity to rise even in the midst of problem. And that's why a leader must see correctly. Your perspective must be different from every other person's perspective. While others are seeing problem, you are seeing platforms for leadership. While other people are seeing problems, you are seeing platform for leadership. I think you must have heard of this story before. There were 2 friends, all right, if I am just want to paraphrase the story, that went to an island for whatever reason. I wouldn't know why they went there, all right. They went on an island, and on that island, they discovered that most people, if not everybody, was not putting on shoes. They walked barefooted. So the first guy saw them. He said, "What kind of place is this? They are so poor. I don't want to come back here again." You know, he looked at them with disdain. He felt irritated by their problem. But the other friend said, "Wow, these people are not putting on any footwear. This is an opportunity for us to supply them shoes." Can you imagine that? They both saw the same thing. One saw it as a problem. The other person saw it as an opportunity. So leaders don't run away from problem. They face it headlong. And when you solve a problem, I can guarantee you that you have become a leader. 3 personalities in the Bible that took advantage of this all-important principle. The first person was Jephthah. Remember in Judges 11, Jephthah was thrown out of his father's house because they said he was a bastard. So Jephthah never argued with them. The Bible said Jephthah went out, left the house, since they have sent him out, and went to work on himself. And after a process of time, the Bible said, Jephthah became a man of valor. And guess what? A problem ensued where he left. They were being confronted by the enemy, and they were looking for a savior or a deliverer. And they heard that Jephthah had become a man of valor, a powerful man, a man of war. And they went to Jephthah and said, please come and help us against our enemies. And Jephthah struck a deal with them. He said, no problem, I'm going to help you, but let's strike a deal. If you will make me your king or your leader, then I will fight your battle. Since they were having problems, they didn't have any choice than to give Jephthah that opportunity to be their leader. So how did Jephthah become a leader? He became a leader not by begging for leadership, but by solving a problem. When you solve a problem, it is the people that are recipients of your solution that would be begging you to come and be their leader. They begged Jephthah to be a leader. Another example is Joseph. Remember, Pharaoh had a dream. Pharaoh was disturbed about his dream, but Joseph rose up, Genesis 41, and interpreted the dream of Pharaoh. And after interpreting the dream, Joseph wanted to take his exit. But Pharaoh said, no, you ain't go anywhere. You were the one that gave us the interpretation of this dream. You will also be a good manager of this nation. That was how Joseph became a prime minister without contesting an election. He became a prime minister by simply solving problem. Another good example is David. 1 Samuel 17. David found himself on the battlefield. Israel was being overwhelmed by Goliath. And of course, David stepped up and said, okay, what will be done to the man that chops off the head of Goliath? And they told him all of that. David ran towards Goliath, chopped off his head, and you know the rest of the story. David gained leadership by solving problems. It was not too long that the women began to sing, David had killed his 10,000, Saul has killed his 1,000. Without doing advertisement, without doing campaign, without pushing himself forward, to be a leader, by simply solving problems, David gained leadership. Am I boring you with these stories? No. I'm just asking you to take a cue from this lesson. Even in history, we have seen men who rose up into leadership because they solved problems. Nelson Mandela of South Africa, became one of the most powerful presidents of South Africa because in his days, he stood up against whatever was happening in his days, in those days. He never allowed his people to keep suffering, under the government of their colonial master. He stood up and fought for their deliverance. He stood up and fought for their freedom. Of course, he went to prison for it, but by the time he left prison, he became their president. This was a man that gained leadership via solving problems. I began by saying that don't be an opportunist. Don't look for a ready-made solution. I want to be a part of it. Rather, go in search. Go hunting for problem. That is what a leader is. That is what makes leadership. And that is what helps you to release the leadership juice on your inside. There is a juice of leadership on your inside. There are juices of creativity, juices of ideas, juices of whatever wisdom that God has given you. But unless you identify a problem that God has ordained you to solve, those graces and juices are not going to come out. Don't forget that God sent you here on earth not to come and add to the number, not to come and add to the problem, but to actually come and solve a problem. There wouldn't have been a need for your coming to the earth were it not for a problem that God had in mind for you to solve. So when you discover the problem you are meant to solve, you already discovered your own pathway to leadership. And don't forget that problems abound everywhere. In the family, there are problems. At your workplace, there are problems. There are problems. Some of you are looking for promotion. Stop looking for promotion. Start looking for problem. Once you solve problem, you won't beg for promotion. My boss, when I was still working secularly, would tell some of my colleagues, say, tell me one reason why I should promote you. Tell me one reason why I should increase your salary. Some of them will have nothing to say. The boss is just challenging them. To increase your salary is not my problem. You just up your game. Add more value that you have been adding. Solve problems in this company. When you do that, compensation, maybe with salary increase, maybe with promotion, will naturally come. So problems abound everywhere. In the church, there are problems. In the country, there are problems. In your compound, there are problems. In your company, there are problems. And of course, on your campus, there are problems. Or wherever it is you find yourself, rather than running away from the problem, face them headlong. Get the necessary skill needed to be able to combat them. And I can assure you, you are going to gain leadership. And I want to speak to our political leaders today. Tell us the problems you want to solve in Nigeria. Don't just come and tell us that it is your turn. It is not your turn until you have identified the problem you are supposed to solve. It does not become your turn because you said it is your turn. It becomes your turn because you've solved a problem. So as we get into the election season, let our upcoming leader, our candidates who are contesting the election, let them identify problems to solve and let them give us solutions that are going to give to the problem. Then most importantly, let them enter into the leadership space solving those problems, not amassing our commonwealth. If you solve problem, we will be the one telling you we need you, not you forcing yourself on us. This is not only for political leaders, it is for leaders in all spheres of human endeavor. I pray for you today that the eyes to see the problem that you are meant to solve, the Lord will give you that kind of eyes. May you be able to see problems where others see opportunities where other people see problems, and may you rise up like David, rise up like Joseph, rise up like Jephthah to go ahead and solve that problem. And may you become the leader that you are meant to be. This is Leaders Arise, and my name is Demola Awoyele. I look forward to another life-changing moment with you at the next episode. Go right there, identify the problem you have been ordained to solve the problem, and gain leadership. Bye for now.